everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thanks for joining me. I'll be your astrologer this week. This is going to be the astro weather for the week of Sunday, July 7th through the 14th, 2024. If you guys like my content and you want to see more of it, make sure you click the bell button below. That way you are alerted as to when we have new videos on the channel. We're here every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, trying to make sense of what's going on in the cosmos. Make sure that you are subscribed and also give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear how you guys are feeling about the transits this week and how you're feeling with the astro weather. We're going to be taking a look this week in all of the aspects, pretty much today, Sunday through next Sunday, but we're going to be focusing on the ingress of Venus in the sign of Leo. We've seen a number of planets move through Leo, all making some challenging oppositions to Pluto. So we're going to talk a little bit about the pros and cons of this particular transit throughout this week. If you guys stay tuned till the end of the video, I'll take you through the 12 rising signs and talk about where Venus is transiting in your chart and what to expect. Equally, we're going to see some complex T-squares that are going to be taking place this week. So you'll see some things kind of going on with the lunar transits that are going to be creating these T-squares, almost like we're dealing with something outside of ourselves, and then boom, the moon's going to come in and create a situation that is really pushing us to make some sort of decision or take action. So be mindful of those days. I'll let you guys know all the ins and outs and what to expect. But with T-squares, we can get a little frustrated. We can also feel like we're kind of being pressured to make a decision, and situations are kind of coming out of left field. Remember, with the fixed T-squares also, we can kind of feel like we're between a rock and a hard place, and it's no easy kind of decision that can be made. So just take your time. Don't feel like you're pushing through things throughout the transits this week. And then finally, as we get closer to the end of this week, we feel that major Mars-Uranus conjunction brewing. So I want to let you guys know, if you're astrologically sensitive or if you are somebody who's ruled by Mars or Uranus, heads up, you're going to be feeling this as early as Saturday or Sunday, even though this is really taking place next week. So just to be mindful of all of that. But honestly, Venus entering into the sign of Leo is pretty darn positive. I love this transit in particular. I feel like Venus, being that planet associated with love and beauty, moving through the fire sign Leo definitely brings a bit of a flair for the dramatic and an emphasis on romance and self-expression. Now, Leo is ruled by the sun, and the sun symbolizes our ego, and it also puts an emphasis on our energy and our vitality. So during this transit, you may find yourselves craving more attention, seeking admiration in other people, and wanting to be seen and appreciated for your unique qualities and talents. It's a time to embrace your inner child and have fun, because Leo is associated with play and creativity. Now, when we think also about the connection with Venus, when we watch Venus throughout the skies this year and into early 2025, Venus is reverberating off of that south node in Libra. So whatever is going on with Venus has associations with that karmic south node. This represents, if you believe in it, past lives, karma, and the lessons that we've already learned. So with the South Node in Libra and this particular Venus transit, maybe we're trying to focus on, relationships and diplomacy. Maybe we are trying to really focus on maintaining harmony. Some of you guys may feel this week that it's difficult to maintain harmony with the Venus-Pluto opposition. And you may see where there can be issues with like people pleasing or trying to be the peacemaker all the time, always putting other people's needs before your own. So when we watch Venus and that kind of connection with the South Node, it's like this cosmic dance between desire for self-expression and the need for connection with others. On one hand, we want to shine and we want to be the center of attention. And on the other hand, we are drawn to partnerships and collaboration. Now, some positive traits of this transit is definitely dramatic and expressive, right? Leo is all about romance. It's all about the kind of whimsical, and it's about playing the role, right? It's about kind of dressing up and being very bold and charismatic. So it is a very romantic transit having Venus in this particular sign. I think it's going to really emphasize creativity and also playfulness. So if you are somebody who is wanting to express your love in a kind of creative or bold way, Wonderful time for that. Wonderful time also for indulging in the arts. Because this is definitely about what you enjoy, right? What you love, what you desire. It's going to encourage all of us to be more confident and more charismatic in our relations and interactions with other people. Yeah, we can see some attention-seeking tendencies, but I really feel like for the most part, it's incredibly loyal, incredibly lovable, even if it can get a little proud or stubborn at times. Now, for those of you guys who are seeking insight into love or relationships, well, you're going to have to hear if it's going through one of those particular houses. Let's say Venus is transiting your 5th or your 7th houses can definitely be indicators for potential relationship opportunities, so listen for that. But also, I think that this is really about us recognizing and realizing that sometimes we crave attention and admiration from other people and from partners. And that can be a good thing or a bad thing. You're going to have to kind of see what happens with the Pluto-Venus opposition right off the bat. But I definitely feel like it's putting us in a position where whether we're in a relationship or not, we're seeking kind of romantic connections with people who can help us shine and be our best selves. Traditionally, Venus and Leo, they always want a partner who is equally creative and passionate. So you want to be thinking about this week, as we see this particular ingress, how you can have the best of both worlds. Watch for a tendency to be possessive or jealous with relationships with the opposition to Pluto, because we can see a little bit of the shadow that can come up with that particular opposition right off the bat. And for some of us, it can also mean that we're finding it difficult to find a balance between our own needs and the needs of our partners. So keep in mind that these oppositions are going to be relational. We're going to see something outside of us that's going to kind of ruffle our feathers a little bit and kind of push us or encourage us to rebalance the scales in relationships. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with today, Sunday the 7th. So if you guys are watching this on Sunday, happy Sunday to my Astro Sunday crew. I hope you guys are doing well. If you guys remember what I said to you last week about coming into this Sunday, for most of you guys, you're going to kind of miss the opposition between the transit moon and Pluto. So the moon is moving through Leo. It made an opposition early this morning. If you were up early enough, maybe you felt it, but otherwise it's kind of fading as we're getting on with our morning. I really love today. I think the transits today are beautiful. I love the moon making contact with Mercury, which is really encouraging us to communicate and express our feelings. Kind of reverberating off of this sun in Cancer, because we've got some mutual reception here. The sun in a lunar sign and the moon in a solar sign. They're saying the same thing, that there needs to be some kind of conscious and unconscious kind of merger of the two. By being able to better communicate and discuss our desires, it's only then that we're able to kind of find harmony and safety and security. So lean into communications with this particular transit. The moon is about how we're feeling and Mercury is the message. I love this Sunday for hanging out with your kids, going on a date, practicing a hobby, doing something fun and exciting, getting out there and just finding time for playtime. That's what you want to be doing. And with this moon conjunction to Mercury, we're also seeing a trine to the North Node in Aries. Very bold, exciting, active. This is not the same kind of Sunday that we've seen the last couple of weeks that have been more kind of like stay-home Sundays, which has been great for home and domestic and family stuff. This is much more putting an emphasis on getting out there, enjoying yourself, and being playful. So find something creative and fun to do. I love that moon Mercury. If you are somebody who's like, well, I am staying home with my family or my kids today. I love like moon Mercury for trivia games. I feel like 5th house is fun and games. And Mercury can be about questions and trivia. And so this can be something fun that you can do. And I imagine that the celebrity gossip is going to be extra good this weekend with that Mercury moon. I think a lot of people are going to be really interested in talking about and discussing something that's going on in Hollywood. Something else that you're going to be seeing is the moon will stay in Leo pretty much all day into tomorrow. So as that moon continues to keep moving, looks like it's going to connect with Mercury right around the early afternoon. And then we're going to see the moon trine the north node. So I want you guys to kind of look around later today, this afternoon into the evening, and just pay attention to what you're doing. Because it makes me feel like something about where you're really focusing on creating the time and the space to participate something that you love is aligning with the north node. And it means, yes, we need to be doing more of that. We need to be taking action in this capacity. And sometimes it's not about work. The fire signs are actually about creativity, and it's about self-expression and entertainment and adventure. So this does not feel like something that is just kind of idle. It feels like it's very busy with this particular conjunction and trine. Now, the communication really, I feel like, is great into the evening. We are going to start to see that moon separate from the conjunction to Mercury and continue moving forward. One other aspect also that's happening throughout the day also is that the moon is in a sextile to Mercury. So that's kind of cool as well because, the moon is in a sextile to Jupiter. I'm looking at Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury. So this is very much like get out, go and do something, share. This can also be great for creative writing, blogging, road tripping, planning trips, traveling. So that's also in the skies all Sunday. All right, so now this is going to take us into Monday the 8th. And when we wake up in the morning, the moon is still in the sign of Leo. But this particular day is a little bit different. The moon's going to get a little roughed up with some squares that we're going to see to Mars and Uranus. So whenever we see the moon in the sign of Leo, we're always paying attention to what's happening with the sun. Thankfully, not too much is happening with the sun. It's no longer in a square to the north and south node. We do not really see an aspect between Saturn yet. So it's, it's kind of idle for the most part. But when this moon, which represents our emotional body and changing circumstances and also like our moods, come into a square with Mars and Uranus later in the day, we can be feeling a little emotionally frustrated. So later in the afternoon on Monday the 8th, the moon will start coming into a square with Mars. Mars is passion, direction. It is about action and sometimes conflict or hostility. The moon's getting very close to Uranus. So we will see this moon square Mars, which is going to make us feel like emotionally we're kind of under pressure. And then shortly after, later in the evening, the moon is going to square Uranus, which means there can be some emotional upsets. Basically, what you need to know is this. When the moon goes through Leo, we are focused on taking chances, creativity, self-expression, and this can also be a sign that's associated with risks, gambling, and the stock market. Usually there's a lot of action when you see some kind of transits going through Leo that are making some squares that can indicate some pretty dramatic swings going on with the market. In this case, Mars and Uranus can very much be not just about the stock market, but also about crypto, because this is about slashes and things that are getting cut down or things that are being sold or reduced at a very rapid rate, right? Mars, Uranus. We have seen this in some of the crypto markets this last week, and so I wonder if this is going to be another moment of volatility. So just make a mindful note that in the afternoon of the 8th, that there is likely going to be more to come. I'll also say that this is a new moon cycle. So you guys are watching this after we had that new moon in Cancer. So we're only going to see something continue to grow pretty much between now and the next 28 days. We'll see a full moon that's going to be coming in. That's going to be rather intense. And the next full moon after that, that's going to be in Aquarius, is going to be rather intense. So these are going to be full moons that are going to have major aspects to outer planets, both Pluto as well as Uranus. So we're going to be seeing some pretty big kind of collective events taking place that can have some really shocking results. So yeah, just keep an eye out for those full moon videos. Anyway, so that moon is going to square Mars first in the kind of like mid to late afternoon. Don't rush, don't get into it with people. Be very mindful of trading and gambling. Be mindful that there can be some friction or financial frustrations or drama over resources and possessions. The positive that I see that's happening this day is that we are going to see that Mercury is going to make a trine to the North Node in Aries. I always kind of think of this transit as, there's like a cell phone that's kind of ringing, or a home phone that's ringing, and it's like the call of destiny. Are you going to answer the call? So that when Mercury, the messenger, is making contact in a harmonious aspect like a trine, It's basically saying it's blowing wide open and it's trying to give you some really important news. If Mercury is about information, data, organization, health, and then we've got the North Node, which is about the future, we may be able to start picking up on some future patterns and some things that might potentially be important, especially when it comes to what's in our heart space, right? Because Aries is the self and Leo is, well, what about me, right? What do I love? What do I enjoy? What am I passionate about? So this is a really great day to ask yourself, like, do I love this thing? Look at where Leo is in your chart, okay? That particular house is where you're kind of receiving the information, and it's trining North Node in Aries. So it could apply to the Aries part of your chart, but it also could just apply in a blanket sense of North Node in Aries, my direction, my goals, my needs. Anyway, answer the call. That's my advice. And be really kind of on the lookout for synchronicities, maybe serendipitous connections, emails, text messages, phone calls, meetings. This makes me feel like with the conjunction that happened with the moon earlier yesterday and then the trine of the North Node, it almost seems like we're being asked to really break away from something physical, right? Taurus, something that we have held on to, something that maybe brought us security. Maybe it's a job, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's a possession. And we're having to ask ourselves, does it still feel good to hold on to this thing? Do we still want to hold on to it? Does it actually bring us security? And then the moon says, well, we can break away from it if we want to, and maybe we need to, or we need to go in the direction of what's going to be most important to us or what we love the most. And yes, it may have some kind of financial result that can be challenging or can be scary, but it's important to stay in alignment and keep the mind in check with what is best for me. What do I love? What does my heart say? I don't really feel like I spoke about this enough during the Mercury in Leo video. I was thinking about it the other day, and I'll include more of this in part 2, but we see several squares between Mercury and Uranus throughout that transit. And essentially this means that speaking up, being brave, standing up for yourself, doing the right thing, being a leader, and really kind of making sure that you're in alignment with what your heart wants will cost some of us a great cost. Mars and Uranus in Taurus is going to be, for some people, saying the job is not the right job for me. My heart's not in it. It's a great paycheck, but I gotta go. For other people, it's, well, I can't juggle working my full-time job and also going to school, for my dream position. I'm going to have to cut back and work part-time or kind of put work on the back burner. For other people, it's going to be about whether or not they're willing to kind of give up and let go of old romantic partners. And for others, it can be about financial challenges and kind of struggles, especially revolving around making it as an artist or an independent, or possibly when it comes to finances, managing and taking care of children. It really depends on everybody's aspects and your own personal natal chart, so I can't tell you exactly, but definitely listen for your rising sign because it'll give you some insight. But essentially, this moon square Mars and Uranus is kind of a reflection of the same energy. We're emotionally and energetically, we're all kind of saying, you know what, we're kind of feeling a little burnt out, we're sick of the drama, or there needs to be some kind of dramatic change and we need to pull forward. Opening squares represent some kind of tension or stress. So this could possibly be in your love life or with investments or out in the world. I think it's going to be about leaders and leadership. So pay attention to this square because Mercury will go through this square several times throughout the Mercury retrograde, and you have to ask yourself if taking a chance is worth the financial risk. Now, something else that you're going to be seeing is while the Mercury is trining the North Node, it's simultaneously sextiling the South Node. This means that if we are actually in flow with the universe today and we're paying attention to the friction and we're able to communicate and work our way through it, we're actively clearing karma. South Node in Libra means that we're learning how to not be people pleasers, not be super attached to partners, not be too indecisive, or focusing on relationships for superficial reasons. So what I love about this is that we can really kind of focus on our own goals, our own sense of self-expression, our own needs, and we can kind of stand on our own 2 feet without feeling like we need to kind of like hold on to other people. So yeah, there can be a little drama, but I think that this is really good in kind of pushing through and kind of clearing stuff out of the South Node. All right, so this is now going to take us into what is going to be Tuesday the 9th. And you'll see late in the evening, if you're up, there will be kind of into the early morning a moon square Uranus, but likely you're kind of feeling that all evening with like that pressure to Mars. And then we're going to see on Tuesday, this is the 9th, we're going to wake up in the morning with the moon in Leo, but it'll ingress pretty early into Virgo. So most of us will feel that lunar change. I think it'll be nice to get the moon into Virgo, have it break away a little bit from some of those squares that it's been in Leo. And when the moon is in Virgo, we're focusing on health, order, routine, service, you know, working through our to-do list, organizing, cleaning things up, helping other people, you know, watering our plants, taking care of our pets, that kind of stuff. And we're focusing on what's going on with Mercury. So Mercury is still in a trine to the North Node. It is kind of, you know, waning. So there is a sense of it kind of moving out of that trine, but you still have a great kind of communication aspect early in the morning on Tuesday. Other than that, things are actually pretty quiet for the rest of the day. You're not going to see too much going on because there's no real significant Mercury aspects or anything happening either. So pretty much the most quiet day is going to be Wednesday. Now it does look like late in the evening, going into early morning, you will start to see that moon coming into a square with Jupiter, which can kind of feel like hyper stimulated with communication and connection. So I could see some people like staying up late, you know, reading or organizing or kind of cleaning and trying to be productive. I think Wednesday is going to be very reflective and kind of being like, okay, what decisions did I make that were best for me? And like, how can I kind of reground and kind of balance my energy? So I see, you know, Tuesday as kind of like the breather day that's in between some of the other transits that are going to be going on throughout the week. Now this will take us to the 10th, which is Wednesday, and there is a whole number of things that are going on Wednesdays. So first thing in the morning, that moon is still in Virgo, so we're still doing our Virgo things. And we're starting to see that the moon is now coming into a sextile with the sun. So what's good about this is that we're coming out of the new moon in Cancer. This is when we're like, okay, we set our intentions just recently on the 5th. Now we are focusing, moving forward on, you know, because we have put more attention and kind of focus on our emotions, right? Our home, our healing, our families, our private life. Now we feel like we can kind of get things in order. So this is when we start to see some of the manifestations build in regards to the intentions that you guys set in this recent new moon. We will also see that the moon is still kind of in a square with Jupiter. So we can be still feeling like hyper when it comes to communication. Moon is about our emotions and Jupiter makes things bigger. So we can feel a little bit more emotionally sensitive. We can feel a little bit more stimulated maybe because of conversations we're having, things we're reading, stuff we're learning. There can be this sense of being hyper focused on bettering ourselves, right? And this can be good if you're like, you know, I think Jupiter in Gemini is great for multitasking. It's great for being like, okay, I really want to finish my book, but I also have some chores and some things I have to get done. Multitask, that's what the mutable signs are really good at. So you may find that there is a way for you to stay mentally stimulated while simultaneously kind of getting work done or kind of working through some of your chores. To which I would say, like, try to find ways to implement health, organization, and productivity with something that's going to allow you to like listen to a podcast or finish an audiobook. Maybe you're, getting on the treadmill, maybe take something with you that's going to also be bettering your mind. So you can kind of kill two birds with one stone. Anyway, on the 10th, we're also going to be seeing that the sun is now starting to come into a trine with Saturn. That looks like that's going to happen later in the day. And we're also going to see the moon start coming into an opposition with Saturn. These are transits that are still kind of brewing. It looks like it'll be a little bit later. So it looks like we're going to pick up that Sun trine Saturn in the later PM hours, and then the moon in opposition to Saturn. Very interesting. Sun in Cancer trine Saturn in Pisces. Granted, Both Saturn and Neptune are retrograde. So there is this sense of now becoming more aware of where there has been lack of boundaries, where there has been lack of focus or control or clarity. And we're seeing that in the world. It's so crazy to start seeing how the retrograde planets are really impacting us. But Sun trine Saturn is a positive aspect. This is basically saying if you're focusing on the goals and you're shining a light on the Cancer area of your life, this is also at a 19, so it is relationship oriented, that we actually can be more compassionate and more kind of emotionally available or feel safer in relationships or connection to others when we have solid boundaries, when we are like, okay, this is what works and this is what doesn't work, or this is when I'm available, or please mind my space, you know? Saturn in Pisces is very much about that lack of boundaries and like the impact that it can have on us emotionally. So Sun trine Saturn means we're gonna be able to kind of reach our goals and get things done, but this is happening in water signs. So we really need to be on the up and up about paying attention to our emotions, what they're telling us, and possibly needing to exercise some emotional boundaries if possible. What's very interesting is at the same time, we're also going to see that the moon will oppose Saturn. So it's almost like the moon in opposition to Saturn makes me feel like, you know, not able to relate to somebody or talk about your feelings, especially moon in Virgo. It's very mercurial. And needing a little bit of time and reflection before kind of connecting with another person or before giving somebody a response. Yeah, we can feel a little emotionally blocked with moon opposed Saturn, but when we think of Virgo, Virgo is that day-to-day, sticking to a schedule, a routine, you know, kind of getting our work done, making sure we're on time, making sure things are orderly. Having a routine is very helpful on this day, on Wednesday, because it's going to really help show us and kind of get out of maybe old patterns of hiding, running away, self-undoing, you know, not getting our work done, right? Saturn, Neptune. And it's also going to be making that sextile to the sun. Okay, so one other thing that I noticed this day also is that Venus hits 29 degrees of Cancer. Whenever a planet hits 29 degrees, it's at a critical point. So it does feel like it's about to kind of turn over. This is very watery, very sensitive, very nurturing, very compassionate, and then a trine to Neptune at 29 degrees. I personally like Venus trine Neptune. I like it a lot better than Venus conjunct Neptune. I feel like this is when we can positively work with the nurturing emotional side of Cancer. And it trines Neptune, which means that we are more compassionate to other people. We're more willing to help. We understand where other people are coming from. We can be more supportive. We can be, I think, better caregivers, better relationship partners, better friends with this trine. And it's also very intuitive. It's romantic. It's great for inspiration. And I think like any intuitive feelings of who can I kind of be there for? Or maybe somebody's popping into your mind and you're like, I gotta give them a call or I gotta send them a text message and see how they're doing. However, Venus does rule the South Node, so there can be this feeling of, okay, I might have to just let it all go. So that's something else to kind of consider. And you'll see this also when the sun is coming into the same angle. Can feel like it's a critical tipping point because 29 degrees does represent basically a completion or an ending and something very karmic. So you'll want to look at what's kind of happening in the Cancer and the Pisces area of your chart. And then you will see that that moon is going to then oppose Saturn. So there can be this sense of being like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. You know, I just need to kind of let it be and like let things kind of like play out on their own. And that moon opposition may mean literally like needing to stick to a routine and being very grounded and practical and not self-undoing or oversleeping or ignoring or drinking or drugging, you know? And I think this can be really positive because the moon is also simultaneously kind of coming into a trine with Mars and Uranus. And you'll see that actually play out into later on Thursday. So lots going on Wednesday going into Thursday. All right, so this is going to be the 11th. And when we wake up in the morning, the moon is in a trine with Mars and it's in a trine with Uranus. So this is wanting to kind of get things done morning. We can feel energized. We can feel like we are, like really action oriented. There can be a sense of us really feeling productive and getting a lot of work done, because Mars is about dedication and drive, and then the moon in Virgo wants to kind of formulate a plan, or it wants to be able to perfect or fix something. So we're still feeling also that Sun trine Saturn. So I really like Thursday morning, very productive. We are still feeling our way through the Venus trine Neptune, which is going to be happening all day on Thursday. And then we are going to start to see the moon build into a trine with Uranus. And that's going to be in the late afternoon. And that's just, I think, because we feel motivated. We're like, look at how much work we got done. You know, look at how much we were able to kind of accomplish. Uranus is about being innovative, and it's about, you know, kind of coming up with like new solutions and making some physical changes. This could be a wonderful time if you're wanting to make changes to your health and your habits or your routine. This can be like your workout routine, your schedule, maybe changes even to your eating habits, and doing something a little bit different. If you want to implement a change like that this week, I think Thursday would be the best day to do it. Not just because of that trine, but also because of Venus's trine to Neptune, which is saying like, if you really want to focus on nurturing and healing and safety and security, then it might be about letting something go. So Thursday is a great day to make a change. We will see as the moon is starting to approach an opposition with Neptune, which will happen overnight. We also see the ingress of Venus into Leo. So if you are ruled by Venus, if you're a Taurus or a Libra rising, you're going to feel this ingress pretty strongly, as well as my Leo placements. Now, something that you guys are going to see is almost like after all of the hard work that's been taking place all day long, the moon is going to make an opposition to Neptune. And that seems pretty critical. Looking at what's going on with Mercury, Mercury's not really doing anything. It's no longer sextiling Jupiter. It's not in friction with anything in Taurus yet. Not really kind of making any aspects in the sky. So I really feel like the moon in Virgo in opposition to Neptune on Thursday night is like, okay, have I been overdoing it? You know, have I, you know, gotten all my stuff done early? And am I still running around and being a perfectionist and looking for something to do? Is there a need for me now to kind of rest and recuperate and retreat a little bit? Moon in opposition to Neptune can mean that we can have issues with weather. There can be some really serious weather advisories happening actually like Wednesday, Thursday, because the mutable signs deal with changes in weather. So just that moon in a square to Jupiter means that we might start hearing kind of midweek, there's this kick up about some extreme weather patterns. And then the opposition to Neptune is going to talk about, well, how is that impacting us when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to services, when it comes to grocery stores, or, you know, making sure that we have the necessary medical supplies or health supplies or what we need for our pets? Is there going to be, you know, the necessary kind of support on the ground? So 29-degree opposition here, Wednesday and Thursday makes me feel like there can be some really critical situations revolving around whether or not people are able to get the help they need. My recommendation is just pay attention to your weather advisories. You know, I'm not a real weather woman. I'm an astro weather woman, but I can tell you that between the transits that I'm seeing in the skies and some of the stuff that I'm hearing about some of the extreme weather that's supposed to be coming up through the Gulf, I would take it seriously, because it does look like there's going to be some critical issues involving water with the opposition to Neptune at a critical degree. This is now leading us into Thursday night. The only thing that you're going to see is that that moon is going to ingress into Libra, where we're focused on relationships, and the moon is in a trine to Pluto. So it does seem like when it comes to relating and partnering with people, making big changes and transformations in who we're friends with, who we're connected with, who's supporting us, who's guiding us. And we're going to be feeling from Thursday night through Friday morning the intensity of the Venus-Pluto opposition, because Venus rules Libra. So watch what's going to happen here as I take you guys into Friday. And Friday morning, we will see the Venus-Pluto opposition begin. It looks like it's going to be at 1 degree and about 7 minutes. So what can I say about that? I mean, the positive is the moon trine Pluto, where we can kind of navigate difficult relationship and financial situations by really kind of looking at, okay, well, what partnerships, what friendships are solid? Who can I depend on when I'm going through a little bit of drama or a little bit of stress or some kind of critical turning point? I would say Venus trine Neptune was already setting the stage for being like, something's getting ready to end. It's time to kind of let it go freely rather than kind of dig in our claws with this fixed opposition and try to hold on to something that may not be good for us. I do feel like Venus also being the dispositor for both Mars and Uranus is an indicator that there is some brewing tension that is coming, okay? Mars is about action, drive, passion. In the sign of Taurus, it's about greed, it's about consumption, it's about spending, it's about food. It will be conjuncting Algol, so it can also talk about where we're losing our minds a little bit about some of this stuff. And Venus is also connected to Uranus, which is not comfortable because it's in, Uranus is a destabilizing planet. So as these two are coming closer and closer together, we're feeling almost like there's a ticking time bomb, that there is like an event coming that's going to be happening between the 14th and the 16th of July that feels like it's this pressure that is going to release. I've heard some people say some stuff on videos, on my videos, but also on other people's videos, kind of keyboard warriors for Mars being like, oh, there's like a lot of like fear mongering about Mars. Guys, Mars is a malefic, okay? I'm not one of those like blow smoke up your ass, like modern, astrologers that's gonna tell you every single transit is positive. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. And when I see multiple triggers in the sky that's all happening at the same time that's saying the same thing, there is a convergence of transits that are all seeming to indicate that mid-July is gonna be absolute fireworks, that there is going to be something that is going to happen. And I'm not the only person who is saying that. So we've got the South Node hitting the moon on the 12th, which means there is this collective kind of emotional kind of dumping and clearing. A lot of moods come up. We can feel very destabilized with that transit. The ruler Venus is in opposition to Pluto, where we're seeing some power struggles in love, and we're feeling like there could be some opposition, some jealousy, some tension. And Leo is about our children, our lovers, our personal hobbies, our happiness. This is entertainers. This is being on stage. This is also our goals and our joy. And that's being threatened by Pluto and Aquarius, which means collectively by groups. There is some kind of threatening energy out there, or some kind of turbulence with Pluto retrograde that is revealing some kind of darker, more challenging agenda, or something that has to do with some kind of like future agenda that's kind of happening. Anyway, and then Venus being connected to Mars and Uranus because it's in the sign of Taurus, and those are merging. There are way too many things happening on this day for me to be like, oh, it's just going to be smooth sailing. We have a Venus-Pluto opposition happen once a year. That's nothing unusual. But when you look at the moon being a trigger and a couple other things going on, you start to kind of wonder like, oof, what's happening here? Clearly, relationship changes. There is a tipping point going on. There can be separations. We can be breaking away with clients or friends or relationships or other people. We can be saying, well, this doesn't support me, or I'm kind of seeing my true colors, and seeing the true colors of a relationship with a friend. Something being exposed because Pluto is the dark. So when these two come into an opposition, it's like a cosmic soap opera is unfolding. So just be mindful of that on the 12th. It starts pretty much first thing in the morning. Venus, right? Love, beauty, but she's also about harmony. She's about money. And it's also about personal gratification when it's in the sign of Leo. So, this transit can bring out the drama queen in all of us, making us crave attention and admiration and being in the spotlight. And we might feel a strong desire to express our creativity, have fun, and be the center of attention. There's nothing wrong with that with Venus and Leo. The problem is that there is going to be quite a sharp or critical or kind of difficult, or even for some people dangerous kind of response to some of these things. Because Pluto is the dark side, right? Think of Pluto as like Darth Vader. Pluto is about collective power and transformation for the greater good, okay? So that's going to be in Aquarius. It's basically like a cosmic call to action, and it's urging us all to question the status quo, challenge authority, and work towards more just and equitable society. So when these two oppose each other, it's like a cosmic tug of war between the two, between our personal desires and need for the collective. We might find ourselves torn between our own self-interests and the greater good, and it can be a real test of our values and priorities. This is something I've said in previous videos, and I'm going to say it again because sometimes the Sabian symbols are really helpful, and it can also give us a little bit of background. It's okay, I know the Sabian symbol, I don't even have my book. The Sabian symbol that we're going to look at is going to be 2 degrees of Leo, because we're going to round up, okay? So the Sabian symbol for 2 degrees of Leo is an epidemic of mumps. That's the Sabian symbol. Mars will retrograde through this degree. Mercury already opposed this degree. The sun's going to oppose this, is going to conjunct this and oppose this degree from Pluto. Okay, so Mercury did it here. Now Venus is doing it on the 12th, and then we're going to see right around the full moon, the sun is going to do that as well. So 3 oppositions where we're kind of challenging power. I remember saying to you guys, watch what happens with Mercury, because the first one is going to be kind of the indication that there could be some information coming up about trouble brewing, and then Venus might be the relationship or the financial fallout, and then the sun opposition might be kind of like the big, you know, like the big finale. So the Sabian symbol of epidemic of mumps, how can that be interpreted? Obviously, you know, for the collective, this can suggest that there can be a collective experience that can affect a large number of people. In this case, an epidemic of mumps can be seen as a metaphor for a widespread issue or problem that needs to be addressed. This is also about vulnerability, because obviously we're dealing with a contagious disease which can be prevented, and you know, the symbol can be seen as a reminder of our vulnerability and the importance of taking care of our health and well-being. Generally, we see the kids, you know, little children kind of dealing with this, because the mumps is associated with a childhood disease. It is a common childhood illness, and the symbol can be interpreted as a reminder to stay connected to our inner child and approach life with a sense of playfulness and joy. This is also about communication, because the mumps actually affects your salivary glands, and it's associated with communication. So the symbol can be seen as a reminder to be mindful of our communication and ensure that we're expressing ourselves clearly and effectively. And then finally, transformation. Because the mumps can cause swelling and inflammation, it can be seen as a metaphor for the process of transformation and growth, and it can be interpreted as a reminder that often comes with discomfort and challenges. Obviously, you don't need me to tell you this does seem like one of the reverse symbols. I think you take that kind of theme of the Sabian symbol and then you apply it in opposition to Pluto, right? And it can really kind of talk about how, because there is so much changing and transforming in regards to this awareness and, you know, what we need to be, you know, kind of experiencing. I think it can be a collective fear scenario. I hope not. Obviously, I pray not, but it could be some kind of health scare. It could be some kind of scare pertaining also to, yeah. I mean, I don't want to get into too much like speculative stuff, but I do feel like there are going to be some things that are going to scare some people, either about the food or the financial kind of world. And that's going to kind of get people a little riled up. So we'll see what happens. But something to really be mindful of this transit is it's not just the Sabian symbol, okay? It's the sextile to the moon in the south node, and that some of these dramas that play out do have a big impact on who we relate to, and kind of realizing and seeing, like, you know, who has our back in the time of need? Like, who's really a good support system? Who's a good partner? Who's a good counselor? Who's a good friend? Who's a good family member? Who's a good neighbor, right? Now, the opposition to Pluto, any opposition to Pluto is going to equate to power struggles. So that's something that you guys want to think about. There can be power struggles going on between individuals, Leo, and the collective kind of group, and you know, we might feel like people are fighting for their own interests and their own agendas. Okay, so you'll see that. Likely there can also be themes revolving around creative activism, because this transit can inspire forms of activism as people use their talents and skills to raise awareness about important issues and a push for change. It's a positive, I think, manifestation of this transit. We might see some real emphasis on celebrity activism. Venus can be a woman. So there can be, more female celebrities using their platforms to speak out about social and political issues, using their influence to make a difference. I have a feeling this could be some social media backlash because Pluto in Aquarius might see a rise in social media activism and a backlash against those who use their platforms for personal gain and spread misinformation or in it for the wrong reasons, or we hear some kind of kind of exposure coming out about, some celebrity that's raising awareness for these proceeds. And then we find out that, it was like a scam, right? We could hear about that stuff as well. Definitely artistic revolutions, because a transit like this generally sparks a revolution in the arts and people use their creativity to challenge the status quo and push boundaries. Love and power dynamics, because this transit can bring up power dynamics and issues of control as people struggle to balance their own needs with the needs of their partners. I made the comment in the last video, fatal attraction. Thank you guys. But these oppositions to Pluto really remind me of that. And it does kind of talk about sometimes where things can get obsessive and fixated and controlling and a little dark sometimes in relationships. And this can mean, quite literally, friends that are, acting that way with you and getting jealous and possessive. Or it can mean that there can be, groups that are having power dynamic issues or what have you, because they're afraid of, you kind of like going your own way. So remember that Leo is about being the individual. And when you shine really bright with all these planets going through Leo, it is going to kind of ruffle the feathers of some people collectively. They're not going to want to see individuals kind of stand out in a crowd. Definitely watch for financial transformations because I do feel like Venus does connect to finances and the financial landscape. As this opposition happens, people will be reevaluating their values and their priorities when it comes to money and wealth. And then finally, technological advancements with Pluto in Aquarius. It brings about technological advancements and the power to change the world, but it also raises questions about privacy, security, and the impact of technology on society. Venus can be about a woman that's making waves about, technology and, influence of some kind. And Venus is also about relationships with leaders. And so just knowing what I know about Zelensky's chart, he's got some pretty significant oppositions within the early degree axis of Aquarius as well as Leo. I think a lot of this we're going to hear is kind of like a back and forth about whether or not there's going to be some diplomacy, with Zelensky from Ukraine. So that'll be kind of interesting to see how that plays out as well, because some of the actions that happen with these oppositions to Pluto are going to have a direct kind of like effect on what happens with the retrograde later this year. So we might start hearing people calling for peace and the cease of war, and whether or not that can actually be something that can kind of happen as we get to later into 2024. All right, so you guys will see, looks like the moon is going to connect with the south node on Friday. That's going to happen at 9 degrees right around the late afternoon. Venus will start coming out of the opposition with Pluto by this time, so the fallout has kind of already happened. And that's pretty much it for the 12th, but still a lot's going on there. So just be mindful. It's not the easiest kind of like socializing day. It's not the easiest day when it comes to financial transactions. There can be feeling pressure or kind of feeling threatened or scared into kind of moving money, buying things, investing things. Like, just be mindful of making any dramatic sudden changes with finances as well as relationships, because likely there can be a sense of responding to stuff out of fear. You know what I'm saying? So there's no need to kind of make any sudden decisions with this stuff on Friday. This is now going to lead us into the 13th, which is going to be Saturday. And on Saturday, we wake up and the moon is still in Libra. And we see some interesting aspects happening today. So this is where you guys start to kind of see Saturday and Sunday, some tricky lunar aspects. This is where you're going to see some of the squares taking place. So just be mindful that Saturday and Sunday are days where you consciously want to be aware of where there's tension and where you're being pulled in two different directions, because the moon is definitely trying to kind of bring this to our attention. While the moon is in Libra, we want to partner with people. We want to get together with others. We want to socialize. Thankfully, now that Venus is coming out of the opposition with Pluto, I feel like Saturday's a better socializing day. We will see the moon come into a sextile with Mercury, so it's more chatty, it's more kind of active, it's a little bit more fun, and some of the drama that was kind of brewing, on Thursday and Friday, it's kind of starting to kind of blow over now. The only thing that you want to watch for is that we have the moon coming into a square with the sun. And if you guys look at this closely, Chiron's at 23 degrees, the sun's going to be between 21 and 22, and the moon is going to hit that 21 to 23 degrees. So we're going to have a cardinal T-square. So if we look at this, it looks like it's going to kind of really kick in right around here. This will be the early evening hours on July 13th, Saturday. All right, so Moon in Libra in opposition to Chiron and Aries means that we have relationship stuff going on, friends that want to go out to dinner, partners that want to go do something, maybe we would like to meet someone, maybe we would just like to be with other people. However, that moon is in opposition to Chiron and Aries, which means that there's something within us, there's a wound that's coming up, there's a feeling of feeling isolated or separate or kind of like the odd man out. That's causing some kind of wound that's making it difficult for us to meet other people halfway, all right? And then on top of that, the moon is also in a square to the sun. So if we think of the sun in Cancer, it wants to really focus its energy on safety, security, healing, being home, being connected to family. It's trying to get us to take action in connection to our emotions. And the sun's dispositor is the moon, and they're in friction. And this is these are all cardinal signs, so they're active. But Libra is masculine because it's air. So really, Saturday, kind of going into Sunday, there's going to be this whole, well, I want to socialize, I want to do things, or friends want to go out, but we may not be feeling it. We may feel a little moody. And when the moon squares the sun and opposes Chiron, it's going to make the sun the focal point basically of this particular square. So long story short, Saturday night socializing, not the easiest, because we're going to be feeling like, well, my friends want to go out or my partner wants to go out, but I'm not feeling it, or vice versa. Or there could be things going on that is involving home or domestic stuff or family that's keeping us from being able to connect with other people. Be mindful and be sensitive of other people's emotions, because this is going to be, I think, a bit of like a tricky T-square. The way out of it, I definitely think is going to be that sun that's still in a trine to Saturn, which means if we need to rest, reflect, kind of catch up on our sleep, be alone, meditate, fine. It's better than kind of like pushing a circle into a square hole and trying to be like, I'm just going to suck it up and go out with other people, because it may be really obvious that we're not really able to kind of connect and be present the way that we would really want to be. So that's going to be happening on kind of early Saturday evening. We start to come out of the square later in the evening, so maybe it's a little bit easier to deal with the later that it gets. And then we are moving into the 14th, which will be Sunday, July 14th. So somewhere in the later morning, the moon will leave Libra and go into Scorpio, okay? And when the moon goes into Scorpio, we want to pay attention to where is Pluto, where is Mars, all right? And this is where you're going to go, ah! So moon in Scorpio, passionate, secretive, vulnerable, sensitive, psychic, moody. This is putting the moon in a Pluto-Mars ruled sign. So this is when you kind of feel like you're doing your ugly tears sometimes. I always laugh when my friends text me and they're like, what's going on? I'm like, the moon's in Scorpio. Like everybody's doing their emotional clearing right now. And the moon is going to be in an immediate square to Pluto. So that represents that emotional clearing, that breakdown, definitely feeling the pressure of having to kind of clear something out. And there could be more kind of emotional tension, psychological stuff happening. Well, the moon's also going to come into a square with Venus. Okay, so we have yet another fun T-square. So where maybe, Saturday night was like, do I really want to put myself out there with other people? Do I not? No, I'm going to kind of stay in. Now we have the moon in a square to Venus, which means that it is a little bit more challenging to emotionally relate to other people. And we also have the moon that is in a square to Pluto. So it can mean because we're going through stuff and we're not communicating effectively with other people and telling them that we're going through something, it can create some problems with friendships. Scorpio is a financial sign also. This is about debt, loans, inheritances, taxes. Leo is going to be more about gambling and also our creative endeavors and taking chances and investments. And Aquarius can be about money that impacts the collective. It can be about money that we kind of get from our income, from work. So this moon square Pluto square Venus is also saying there are events Sunday morning that are also triggering relationship issues, especially with friends or some kind of community. So this is another watch out for relationship and financial situations. Simultaneously, Mars is actually the traditional ruler for Scorpio, and Mars is now at 25 degrees. It looks like we're actually going to, I think, see it about hit 26. Maybe it'll be 26 around the 15th and the 16th. But that conjunction is coming, guys. Okay, so something that you need to know is that not only is early, or most of Sunday the 14th intense because of the Venus Moon Pluto square, and Scorpio is the focal point, so there is a need to kind of detox and kind of purge and kind of cleanse, but we're also feeling this brewing Mars-Uranus conjunction. Some astrologers say when they're within 10 degrees, we feel it. And I work with about a 2 or 3 degree orb, so I would pretty much say the next 72 hours from Sunday the 14th moving forward, this is being triggered. And you're really going to see this getting into the 15th. And we'll talk about it next week. I'm probably going to do a video that's completely separate from the astro weather because I really want to focus on the Mars-Uranus conjunction. But you'll really see this in the 15th because that moon is going to oppose. Okay, so the Mars-Uranus conjunction looks like it's going to happen on July 15th while the moon is in Scorpio. And you're going to see what appears to be on the 16th, the moon come into opposition. All right, so it's heating up on Sunday, but Monday and Tuesday, my goddess, that is going to be wild because it's also going to square Mercury. So we have a rather intense kind of moody Sunday from my perspective, but hopefully that's not the case for you. I know it does not always play out that way for everyone. Sometimes it's, what's challenging out in the skies can actually be really good for some people's charts. So just be mindful of what's kind of brewing. I would love to take you guys through the 12 rising signs and show you where Venus is going through your chart. Remember, Venus in Leo is a great transit. The only thing that you're going to be kind of noticing throughout this transit, and I'm going to try to make another video on it, is that Venus is first met with an opposition to Pluto. So there is already a challenge in the ability to find diplomacy, harmony, and peace, okay? And then we're going to see Venus throughout her transit come into a square with Uranus where there is going to be some destabilizing things taking place, okay? So there's a number of squares that will happen, and a square in opposition throughout her transit where she's being challenged. She doesn't have a lot of outlets. She's going to have like a sextile to the south node, and she's going to have a trine to the north node, but she doesn't have as much support. The only real supporting energy she's going to have is a brief sextile to Jupiter, and that's going to say through keeping an open mind, communicating, sharing, considering different outcomes or options, then we can kind of make different choices. So I want to talk to you guys about where Venus is going, but I'm also going to let you know just what to be mindful of with the Pluto opposition, because that is going to be the first aspect that Venus is going to be experiencing. All right, so let me make this a whole sign chart for you guys. And just as a reminder, I'm a Western astrologer. That's what I practice. I'm not a Vedic astrologer. I practice Western tropical astrology. I'm going to be using the whole sign technique method for you guys, and I'm going to be talking about where Venus is transiting. Pull out your chart, take a look, whether you have it on a piece of paper or on an app. Find where Leo is in your chart. This is where Venus is transiting. She's going to make an opposition to Pluto in Aquarius, which is in the opposite house. And you can listen for your rising sign, your sun sign, and your moon sign. You can also listen to your progress chart if you resonate with your progress chart as well. And just a forewarning, okay, I'm just letting you guys know that I think this is an important transit. So even though I'm going to talk about the good with the Venus transit, and there's a lot of good, I feel like this Venus transit starts with like a little bit of like a bitch slap. All right, so I'm going to tell you guys what to watch for outside of this, because there is going to be some kind of challenge in the opposite house right out the gate that we all want to kind of be mindful of, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and start with our Aries and Aries rising. What's up, guys? You're going to have Venus transiting the sign of Leo. It's going to be moving through your 5th house. So Venus traditionally rules your 2nd house of money and resources, self-esteem, and also pleasure, and your 7th house of other people, partners, and also your marketplace. Venus in the 5th house. I feel like telling you guys, like, get ready for some serious fun, okay? Because the 5th house is about fun and games. This is where your creativity and passion will likely be at an all-time high, making this a really great time for artistic pursuits or romantic adventures. Venus rules relationships. So Venus in your 5th house is great for getting out and meeting people, going out on dates, you know, feeling more self-expressive and creative, and investing a little bit more in your fun. Now, the challenge here is that you're going to see that Venus will come into an opposition with Pluto, okay? And Pluto is in your 11th house of friends, goals, networks, and other people. Pluto rules your 8th house of things that are secret, taboo, or kind of karmic entanglements, joint monies as well. So when you see Venus oppose Pluto, something you want to be mindful of is just be careful not to let your desire for attention overshadow the needs of your loved ones, okay? Whether this is your kids, your romantic partners, your friends. The 5th house is a very me energy, and you're gonna have a lot of planets going through there, and it's a fire sign just like you, so it works really well together. Things are trining the North Node in your chart, so you are very focused on your creativity, your self-expression, your desires. But some people may misunderstand that. Some people might assume that that's you being selfish or you being kind of too self-focused. So be mindful that there can be some challenges with friendships and relationships to other people, okay? The card that I got for you is the Queen of Wands. So it seems like you're like, I don't care. I'm gonna do me. You know, let them be jealous. Let them complain. This is a card of confidence. This is a card of creativity. This is also about passion, self-assertion. Also just feeling very charismatic and optimistic. So you're kind of letting it roll off your back. You're not taking it personally if you experience any haters. All right, good luck, my Aries and Aries rising. Let me know how it goes. We've got Taurus and Taurus rising. You guys will be experiencing Venus's transit through your natal 4th house. This is important for you, Taurus, because you're ruled by Venus. So wherever Venus goes is kind of where you are. And Venus will be going through your 4th house. And whenever I say this transit, it's like, you know, home is where the heart is. So this is about beauty in the home and love and relationships and decor. And this can be about going home and seeing family. This can be about family in your home. But there also may be some drama, okay? Something to consider is that family matters could come to a head, forcing you to confront some deep-seated issues. So you may not really feel like you have a lot of control over what comes up with this. The recommendation that I would make is take this opportunity to transform your living space and create a more nurturing environment for yourself. Venus does not just rule you and your body, but your 6th house of your health and routine. So you may feel like the more that you're trying to create a comfortable workspace or focus more on your home or maybe even on your health or like your home time, you feel like that's being challenged by your, like your work schedule or, you know, what's expected of you out, you know, in your professional life. And that's making it challenging for you to kind of feel like you can enjoy or kind of take time to feel comfortable in your home, okay? All right, the card that I got for you is the World card. So this is a good card because this is about actually wrapping something up. This is about completing something. This can be about integration, accomplishment. This is also about travel, the bigger picture, evolution, fulfillment, harmony, and a sense of belonging. I personally feel for some of you guys that it's going to be you going like, why am I working so hard if I feel like I'm not getting a lot of opportunity to like stop and smell the roses and enjoy the fruits of my labor? And you may look at it as like work can wait, or things can wait, or that there is cycles that are kind of starting to kind of complete now, allowing you to focus much more with what's going on in your home or your private life, and that some things may have too much power over you, okay? Good luck, my Tauruses. I've got Gemini and Gemini rising. You guys are going to be experiencing Venus's transit through your natal third house. So Venus transiting through the third house is a pretty nice transit, actually. You should like third house transits because it's got like this Gemini energy. Venus rules your fifth house of creativity, lovers, and dating, self-expression, in your 12th house of hidden undoing, the subconscious, what's behind the scenes, and kind of like your hidden talents. So Venus transiting in the third house, it's going to put an emphasis on communication. I think you'll be able to express your thoughts and feelings with ease. I feel like this is about speaking kindly to other people. I think this is about making more of an effort maybe to pray or focus on mantras or kind of meditations or manifestations. Great for creative writing, great for kind of speaking from your heart space. But something to think about is that, you need to be mindful of your tone and your delivery. And I say that because of some of the oppositions that you're going to have with Pluto, okay? So, Pluto rules your sixth house, which can be about kind of organization, health. It can also be a stickler planet for perfection. And so I kind of look at this and I go, wow. You may say, well, I really would like to start writing a blog, or I would really like to, connect with my teacher and have them like read something I wrote or whatever. And you can feel overwhelmed or kind of feel like somebody's being very critical of what you have to say, or you may feel like threatened in a sense of not feeling, mentally or intellectually capable of being able to kind of like write or teach or learn the things that you would like to do. I would say don't let fear get in the way. This is also a wonderful time to connect with siblings and neighbors. Just don't let like petty squabbles ruin the fun, okay? A sibling could say something or a neighbor could say something that could like really kind of put you off, and you could be like, whoa, where did that come from, And it can also be a time where I would just say be really careful about having conversations revolving around culture or beliefs or religion, education, because of the third kind of ninth house aspects that are kind of getting kicked up, all right? The card that you have is the Page of Swords, which is so perfect. This is a great card for the third house of Venus transit. This is about being witty, communicative, curious. This is also about being alert, thirst for knowledge, inspired, relentless, and also the messenger. A little chatty to this one. This can be you, Gemini, or it can be about you dealing with like another air sign like an Aquarius or a Libra. I think the pages talk about proceeding forward cautiously because you're just kind of getting your bearings when it comes to that particular energy. So Mercury kind of here already says that, you're already focusing on connecting or communicating or learning. Venus coming in is just saying, okay, now I'm really starting to enjoy it. I feel like this is saying when it comes to your communications and relationships, like you may want to just be more cautious about some of your beliefs and some of your views and expressing that and showing that to other people, or maybe something that you've been learning or writing. It's not saying, shy away from showing it to other people. Just be careful about who you're showing it to, because you may be more sensitive to criticism and you're in the beginning process of just kind of starting some of these either new projects or new things. So it needs time to kind of like mature, right? Anyway, hopefully that's helpful for you, Gemini. Let me know. We've got Cancer and Cancer rising. You will be experiencing Venus's transit through your natal second house in the sign of Leo for you. Well, Venus is lovely in the second house. That's a great transit, especially for money and resources and feeling a little bit more abundant. Venus rules your 11th house of friends and others, and it also has connections with your home and your family and your roots. So Venus going through the second house is possibly like a better time for you financially. You may be feeling extra generous. You may also be feeling like you're a little bit more abundant, or you have a little bit more money to spend, or you're willing to kind of indulge in luxury. Just be mindful that there can be tendencies to kind of overspend with Venus in opposition to Pluto in your 8th house. Pluto rules the 5th house of love affairs, creativity, children, and also dating. So there can be a sense of like really spoiling somebody that you're involved with, or being really enticed to spend a lot of money on a new hobby, or like a investment, or like a creative project. I would also say, Venus in the 2nd house, Pluto in the 8th house. 8th house is other people's money, and Pluto is power and control. So there can be issues involving investments, trading, money with children. That stuff can come up. There can be power struggles in financial partnerships. And you may look at things and go like, it's time to reevaluate your shared goals and values. Like, does somebody have too much control over me? And that can be, the bank that you're banking with. That can be, a partner that you're, sharing a bank account with. Venus in the 2nd house is strong, and you're going to see with like the sun coming into this house and Mercury's there in a retrograde, you're going to be like, what about what I need? And am I giving too much to other people, or am I giving my power away, right? All right, let's take a look. Let's see what card you get. Oh, great card, 10 of Pentacles. That really kind of confirms that you're like, no, I'm going to get mine. I'm not going to let other people kind of dictate and control. This is a card that's about legacy, inheritance, wealth, financial security, long-term success, roots, family privilege, and having all that you need. So a wonderful confirmation that you're going to be like, no, I'm focusing on really kind of growing what I have and having control over it, and not letting other people dictate or tell you or kind of jerk you around with any potential income or cash flow that's coming in. You're going to be fine. You're going to work a lot of this stuff out, I think, actually throughout the retrograde you'll see in this next month. Good luck, Cancer. We've got Leo and Leo rising. What's up, Leo? Obviously, Venus is entering your sign, right? So this is a great transit for you, for any of the Leo placements, because Venus in the 1st house, it has an influence on your style and your appearance. So chef's kiss, on fire, looking good, looking great. The one thing I want to tell you is that while you will be oozing with confidence and charm and attracting people wherever you go, the opposition to Pluto can be a little sticky, okay? So there can be a sense with the sun getting ready to come into your sign, Venus is there, Mercury is there, that you're really looking good, feeling good, taking care of yourself, reinvesting in you, and really realizing, you know what? I deserve this, or part of, loving myself is taking better care of myself. It could be eating better. It could be making changes with your appearance, your routines, whatever. On one hand, the Venus transit is beautiful because it will enhance your looks. It will attract more people. On the other hand, Venus will oppose Pluto, which means you're going to have some people who are going to be obsessed with you. They're going to be, why are you going out? Why are you dressed up? What are you doing? There can also be people who can be very critical because they want to bring you down a few pegs, because they can be kind of jealous. Certainly Pluto retrograde in the 7th can be jealousy. People who are kind of watching you, and they maybe realize that you're in a really good place, you're feeling really confident, and don't let other people kind of dim your light. This can also create some like stalker situations, so be careful of that. I don't like saying that, but Venus Pluto can be those transits that you can see, especially in these angles. And Venus rules your 10th house of career and reputation. So there could definitely be some people who are kind of being very judgmental about your appearance. So they're maybe saying some things that can have a huge impact on your reputation. And Venus also has connections to your 3rd house of communication. So it could also be things that people are not necessarily saying to you in person, but they're texting it to you. They're leaving it on, on social media. They're making some nasty comments about how you're looking. Just know that Mercury is going to go retrograde through this house. And I don't want to see anybody, saying some things that could really negatively impact the way that you see yourself, which could lead to you making some really unhealthy decisions and deciding, yeah, you know what, they don't like my hair, so I am going to cut it all off. Or, they made a comment about my body, so I'm going to stop eating. Like, just you have to really kind of block out some of the other people's comments that you can get throughout this week. And you have to kind of just put your blinders on and really, really focus on yourself. And it's great for your appearance. Just know that you're coming into the shadow. So if you're going to make any changes, now is a good time to talk to people, kind of consult with if you're going to get a new hairstylist, or if you're going to work with a new stylist, or if you're going to make changes to your appearance in any way. And you can make little changes and tweaks and see if you like it throughout the retrograde, but I wouldn't do anything super dramatic with this, okay? Especially it's like Venus, Pluto. I mean, if any woman knows, you go to the makeup counter and you're just there to get a lipstick, or to get like concealer or something. And you walk up and they're like, oh yeah, here you go. And then they're like, oh, do you want to check out this new face cream, or do you want to check out this? And then they try to put on an eyeliner, and then they're like, we have a cream for your wrinkles and also for your bags. And this mascara is going to make you look 20 years younger. And you're like, I came here for one thing, and this woman's giving me products and putting products on, telling me all the things she could fix. And you leave looking beautiful, but you're like, oh my God, is there something wrong with me? That's very much this transit. So I would be really cautious with whose advice I buy. That's just my hot take. Okay, the card that I got for you is the Page of Cups. So the Page of Cups can be about sensitivity. This can also be about idealism. Feeling a little bit more, connected to your inner child, more emotional, more sensitive, also about the possibilities and kind of having your heads in the cloud. Pages can be water signs, so Cancers, Pisces, and Scorpios. But I think this is about being more compassionate and sensitive with yourself, and being more kind of checked in with your emotions. You may feel a little bit more romantic with that card coming up, and it can also be an indication of potential opportunities for new relationships that can be on the way. Good luck, Leo. We've got Virgo and Virgo rising. You'll be experiencing Venus's transit through your natal 12th house in the sign of Leo. So for you, my Virgos, you have got your 2nd house ruler and also your 9th house ruler moving through the 12th. So for you guys, obviously the 12th is hidden. It's spiritual. It can be karmic. It can represent endings or completions of things. This can also be stuff that's hidden in your subconscious and things that go on behind the scenes. I think this transit can bring some deep-seated emotional experiences, and it might kind of almost like force you to confront any hidden fears or insecurities. What you thought you believed about love, not feeling like you were good enough, doubting, something about your security, or, your value in some way. But also, I think this is a time where you want to take the opportunity to connect with your intuition and your spirituality. Don't be afraid to seek support from a trusted friend or therapist. And I say this because Venus's connection to the 9th house and your beliefs in the bigger picture, and the 2nd house about the values of money and relationships. This will be opposing Pluto. And so the 6th house is about kind of like habits, health, and routine, your day-to-day habits. The 12th house is about healing. So when you have planets go through the 12th house, we're having to kind of heal something. So it's possible that, Pluto can be the therapist. It can be the friend with really good advice. It could be the coworker that, kind of like lends you an ear, to kind of talk about and kind of vent with. And if you have had any insecurities about love, relationships, money, somebody can be there to kind of show you, like, you can't run away from this stuff. You need to acknowledge it. Just work through it. Here are some new kind of like tips and tricks when you feel that your mind is kind of getting the best of you, so you're not spiraling. Because there can be a sense with Venus and Mercury being in the 12th house that you're like, man, I'm just feeling like really isolating. I just kind of need to be alone right now. Nobody really gets where I'm coming from. And somebody can kind of step in and show you a new way, a better kind of dealing with these thoughts or these feelings. This can also be love that can be hidden in behind the scenes. There could be some office romance that you can't talk about. There can be some relationship kind of connection that you're not really ready to talk about yet. That's also kind of private and something that's kind of brewing with somebody that can be a different culture, from a different background. They can be from a different country, with that connection between the 12th as well as the 9th house. So it can be very, very spiritual, very sensual, very private. The card that I got for you is the 4 of Wands, which is actually a really great card, Virgo. This is a card that deals with soulmates. This is a card that deals with connections. This is about celebration, harmony, marriage, family, friends, reunions, community, gathering, stability, and belonging. So maybe you have questions about some of these things. When is that going to happen? When am I going to feel it? Am I going to get there? because the 12th house can be about doubts. And I kind of feel like it's saying that you have to address some of these fears or some of these hesitations or insecurities, or maybe there are these things that are coming up that you're just now becoming aware of to be able to get to the other side. For me, it totally makes sense. I think the Mercury retrograde coming up might help you with that, might help you heal that. It can be great for getting a healing or working with a therapist to really work out some of the kinks as we're kind of approaching what's going to be eclipse season in the fall, where you have an eclipse in your 7th house, which is definitely about stronger relationship bonds and unity. Good luck. We've got Libra and Libra rising. You guys will be experiencing Venus's transit through the sign of Leo in your natal 11th house. Obviously for you, Taurus and Leo, these are important transits. Venus rules your chart, Libra, so wherever Venus is where you're gonna go. Venus in the 11th house, it does really bring you much more front and center when it comes to social circles. Venus has connections to your 8th house, which can be about things that are kind of karmic. It can be about joint resources, money. It can be about secrets and things that are kind of taboo. So Venus going through the 11th house, honestly, like, you could create quite a buzz here. It's really great for social media. It's great for getting recognition. You might notice that there's an opportunity to kind of like break through and have like a little moment of fame. And you might find yourself drawn to new unconventional groups or causes. Remember, the 11th house is other people and it's socializing. Here's the challenge though, okay? So, Leo is drama. It doesn't matter what house it's in. Venus going into the 11th house is going to say, well, you can work with other people, you can work with other creatives, you can go to parties, you can go to events, you can hang out with friends, you can hang out with celebrities. But the question is it in alignment with your values, right? Because Pluto, there will be an opposition to Pluto. And the 5th house is what makes you happy, what brings you joy, where you feel the most authentic. And Pluto also rules your 2nd house of money and resources. So you might feel like, well, I kind of have to go and do some things and interact with some people or kind of socialize, because for financial reasons, for work reasons, for networking reasons, or, maybe you're just feeling like there's a lot more social opportunities and you're going and you're around people and you're like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like these are my people. Like we don't have a lot in common, or, we have a difference of kind of views or opinions on things. And I feel like, there can be power struggles within your social circles. And it can mean that, you're hanging out with people who can seem a little catty, or people who can be a little dramatic, or, kind of like all trying to kind of strive to be the star. And you might kind of be like, I don't want to be a part of this, or I don't want to feel like I have to push myself to kind of, be like other people. I want to be different, And if anything, I think the biggest critic is actually going to be yourself with Pluto in your 5th house. It's going to be where you feel like if you're not being authentic and you're putting yourself in situations socially or in relationship to where you're working or collaborating with other people that doesn't feel good and it doesn't feel authentic, you're gonna definitely feel that and have to make a decision as to whether or not you want to kind of make some tweaks and changes with who you're friends with. And also how much time you're giving to other people, okay? All right, so let's take a look. Let's see what the cards say for you. Libra, you get the 10 of Swords. I'm not surprised by this, being a Libra rising myself, because this is about endings and completions, okay? And so one thing I can tell you with this is that, you can feel stabbed in the back. There can feel like a loss or feeling kind of betrayed, or that there is somebody who you thought you had a connection with, and then, you're kind of realizing like, wow, that person isn't who or what I thought they were, right? That can also mean that shock and surprise can actually be that you're different. So you may go and hang out with friends that you've always hung out with before, or reconnect with certain people, and then you're like, wow, like something doesn't feel the same. And then that shocking moment that you're like, I'm different, I've changed. That could be the 10 of Swords. But be mindful, that with Venus and Mercury getting ready to go retrograde there can be some conflicts with friends and some things that are said that doesn't ultimately start kind of coming up until down the road, where you realize that there was somebody kind of in your social circle that you were close to, that you thought you could trust, that maybe you couldn't, right? Anyway, good luck, Libra. Let me know what happens. We've got Scorpio and Scorpio rising. You'll be experiencing Venus's transit through Leo in your natal 10th house. Now for you guys, Venus rules your 7th house of committed partnerships and relationships, as well as your 12th house of the subconscious, hidden, and things kind of connected to self-undoing. All right, so for you, Scorpio, your 10th house is all about your career. It's also about your reputation. Venus going through the 10th house is a great transit. This likely is going to put you in the spotlight. Yes, you might be craving more recognition and validation, but I think that this is really great for relationships with people out in the world, both professionally, but as well as your marketplace and also clients if you have a client-based business. The only trick here is to not let your ego get in the way, okay? Because, well, Venus rules relationships to others. Pluto rules you. So you're going to see Venus make an opposition to Pluto, which basically means that there is some kind of growth and gearing up that's happening. It might mean that you're feeling like you have to put your career and your focus on your kind of self-promotion or your relationships with others, or your job kind of ahead of your own desires and your own needs. It may mean that something that's changing with your job or a woman at work or a boss or even a relationship is kind of coming before what it is that you have been wanting to do. And, you know, Pluto is retrograde, so it means like that's okay. You're kind of reevaluating and asking, what changes do I need to make internally, emotionally, or with my home and family? Some of you guys might feel like your partners or your spouses are taking kind of center stage right now, and you're kind of playing like the supporting role for them. And there can be some big announcements about big changes going on with home, family, relationships, and also your career. And they're all kind of impacting one another. I'll just say that sometimes oppositions like this are separations. So it can be a time where you're like, that's it. I need to take some time away from home. I need to be more focused on my career. Maybe I'm going back to work. Simultaneously, it could mean that, hey, you know, me and another person, you know, we're going our separate ways. We're no longer working together. We're no longer dating. We're no longer kind of working as like clients and client, really like a client in a professional relationship. And this is also mirroring something about this Mars-Uranus conjunction. So Scorpio and Scorpio risings, you guys already have that Mars-Uranus stuff that's brewing. So it is possible that if you feel like a person or a work obligation or a home obligation is getting in the way, it does kind of seem like you're getting ready to rip the bandage off and like make that necessary change. And that's going to be coming up for you in this next week. I think about Venus's connection to your South Node in the 12th house also. And it can mean that your partner is sharing with you, if you're partnered, some shocking or surprising news about what they're kind of feeling and what they're thinking in regards to the future of their home and also like career situation. So it can be that you're kind of reverberating off of whatever they're kind of saying to you, and you're like, wow, this is going to really create some really big changes in home or professional life. Okay. So let's take a look. Let's see what card you get. Scorpio, you get the Fool card, which for me means that you're being set free, which is kind of interesting because the Fool card is very much about Uranus, and it is about what's unconventional and different. So like I said, with like that Mars-Uranus conjunction that's brewing, you know, maybe there's been some tension in a relationship. Maybe there's been somebody who's been off and on, in and out. And like maybe what's kind of coming up is you're going to be like, you know what, I'm going to set this free. And this is about new beginnings. This is about innocence, originality, fearlessness, free spirit, fresh hopes, taking chances, new paths, opportunity, and a leap of faith. In the end, Scorpio, I think that I would really pay attention to the transits right now, because the oppositions to Pluto are really saying that you need to really focus on what's changing with your inner world and your emotions and your home to kind of better support where you're going with your career. You will have another retrograde at the end of this year that's going to be a Mars retrograde, which is your chart ruler, and that's going to show you that you're going to have to maybe make a change professionally, scale back, or change your status, and able to better help support the changes that's going on at home, okay? Good luck. Let me know. I want to hear about how that affects you guys. We've got Sag and Sag rising. You're experiencing Venus transiting the sign of Leo in your natal 9th house. Venus rules your friends, networks, and associations, as well as your 6th house of health, habits, routines, and coworkers. So having Venus transit the 9th house and also being in a fire sign is a very friendly energy. You know, Sagittarius is like that 9th house vibe. You've got planets moving through a fellow fire sign that's going to not only be trining your sun, moon, or rising, but also the North Node in the 5th house. So life feels very quick moving. It feels exciting. It feels fun. It feels daring. There's a lot of good things that are happening with this transit. Venus moving through the ninth house is finding pleasure in travel, education, lovers or romantic partners at a distance. Maybe you are taking a new course, you're learning something new about your health. Maybe you found a new teacher. There can also be traveling for work that can be happening. You could be traveling and meeting friends, or friends are going to be meeting you because of the connection with the 11th house. I think your social circle can be growing, and you can be meeting people who are a little bit more open-minded and kind of like different, culturally maybe diverse. There is a thirst for knowledge and adventure during this transit. This is about embracing new experiences and expanding your horizons. However, do not let your desire for freedom to overshadow your responsibilities or commitments. And I say this because, number one, Venus rules those things. And it's opposing Pluto in the third house. And this may mean that, you know, you're like booking flights and doing things, and you really should be at work, or you really should be, you know, focused on what's going on with your habits or your routine. And you're like, no, I'm already like mentally, I'm already in this other country. You know, Pluto rules the 12th house, which is foreign lands, but it can also represent where there is some self-sabotaging behavior that's coming up, where you're like, you know what, it's easier for me to just go and get some space and be free than it is to talk about my feelings or my concerns or stay put or kind of stay committed to a routine. God bless you guys, but that's not easy for you to do. And so when the mental kind of pressure is on with Pluto in your third house, it does trigger this sense of being like, okay, I'm just going to think about the next place that I can go. So yeah, watch for a tendency or an opportunity to kind of like go, you know, catch a break and go somewhere and kind of, yeah, not be totally, you know, on top of your responsibilities or your commitments. This can also mean that there's difficult communications. You know, the ninth house can be teachers. It can also be with in-laws. It can also be with educational centers or mentors. And so there can be some difficult communication things going on, or difficult time kind of relating to other people about, you know, culture, philosophy, education, like religion, like that kind of stuff. And that's pretty much it. So hopefully that's helpful for you guys. This seems to be much more kind of like an intellectual kind of transit. So you might be also feeling like challenged to speak up and share something that you've been learning. Maybe you're struggling to find the words and how to better kind of express yourself. And maybe some of the, you know, Pluto in the third house, some of the mental challenges or some of the habit breaking is leading you to go, okay, you know, I'm finally going to start working with a breath coach, or I'm finally going to, you know, start getting back into yoga or fitness, something where I think you need a teacher to kind of help calm the mind. All right, let's see what cards you get, Sag. You get the Two of Wands, which is a great card. I like that. That's about keeping an open mind. That's about a new path that's emerging for you. So Two of Wands is about choices, decisions, the first steps, choosing a path, future planning in the dark, preparing to leave your comfort zone. Should I stay or should I go? You know, the third and the ninth house are also kind of like mutable-esque energies where they're changeable. And the funny thing is that you've got fixed signs there. So it means that you can be very kind of like, nope, this is this way. And maybe you're learning that that things aren't black and white, that there can be a gray area. So there is a way for you to be able to kind of say, well, you know, it doesn't always have to be one thing or the other. You know, I'm opening myself up to other potential habits or routines or different kind of perspectives. So this does also make me feel like you're reevaluating the future of your purpose, right? Or your job, because Venus is connected to your sixth house, and what your daily routine could or should look like. All right, good luck, Sag. We've got Capricorn and Capricorn rising. You'll experience Venus's transit through the sign of Leo in your natal 8th house. For you, Capricorn, Venus rules your 10th house of career and reputation, as well as your 5th house of creativity and self-expression, as well as romance. So Venus in the 8th house, that's a sexy transit. This is definitely a transit where when planets go through the 8th house, there is this whole kind of going through a transformation phase. And so, you know, the 8th house can be shadow. The 8th house can also be about healing. It can be about things that are kind of taboo or things that can be kind of karmic. And definitely planets in the 8th house can bring about an intense experience. So this can be both emotionally or financially. I think it's a great time to explore your psyche and confront any fears or insecurities, especially when it comes to changing your job or being more vulnerable or working with your inner child or maybe intimacy in relationships. Be mindful of any power dynamics in your financial partnerships and make sure you're not giving away your power. Now, I say that because Venus is going to be opposing Pluto in your 2nd house where it's retrograde and you're reevaluating like how do I learn how to transform my financial situation? How can I empower myself? How can I make more? And the 8th house is other people's money. So there can be a sense of other people coming and seeking something from you. So, Venus rules your 10th house. So it means that you could have a boss that's saying, hey, we need you to, work on these extra projects. Can you take it on? And you're like, am I getting paid for it? Am I getting recognition for it? Am I going to get, a sense of recognition or, visibility for the extra work that you're kind of putting in, It can also mean that there is some challenges where there's a little bit of back and forth between your changing or transforming financial situation and that of another person. Obviously, Pluto rules your goals, so what your goals are about money. And I think so much of the planets going through the 8th house is you're changing your relationship to your resources. You're changing your relationship to maybe debt or joint finances or like loans. You're looking at all of these things differently. The other thing you want to watch for, I think, is that there can be somebody that's trying to kind of hold something over you, and that can definitely happen with Venus in opposition to Pluto. So don't play any like games with anybody as to whether or not they'll only pay you if you complete a task or if you do something. That can definitely kind of come up here as well. Be mindful of investments, especially gambling because of Venus's connection to your 5th house, or investing money that you're not potentially capable of potentially like losing. So be very mindful of that, especially with like an upcoming retrograde in your 8th house. I would say this can be a time where there's going to be a lot changing with other people's money. So taking any unnecessary risks or, maybe loaning stuff or giving stuff away if you don't feel comfortable doing it right now may not be a good idea, right? All right, so let's see, what card do you get, Capricorn? You get the King of Wands. All right, this is a great card. So the King of Wands is about being daring, feisty, passionate, creative, confident, natural born leader, your vision, your boldness. This is about being charming, entrepreneur, powerful, seeing the big picture, and taking control. I like that for you. And I feel like that's definitely the case with this like 2nd full moon that's coming up in Capricorn later in the month too. You're going to feel like you're taking your power back. Watch for support from Sagittarius, Leos, as well as Aries. So other fire signs can kind of come in. I wonder if there's like a bit of a power struggle with a Leo because like the King of Wands is coming up and that can be a Leo in your 8th house, or that somebody is enticing you in some way, saying, if you do this, I'll give you that. And you're like standing your ground and you're being like, nope, that's not going to work for me, or it needs to be better, or, sorry, that offer is not good enough. So definitely stand your ground and don't let anybody kind of, make you feel powerless. Good luck, Capricorn. We have Aquarius and Aquarius rising. You'll be experiencing Venus's transit through the sign of Leo in your opposite sign in your 7th house. Venus traditionally rules your home and family zone, as well as your 9th house of your beliefs and higher education, travel, and your philosophy. So Venus in the 7th house, all in all, is a wonderful transit. This is really bringing opportunity in for relationships. So if you're single, it can bring somebody in definitely. If you're in a relationship, it can bring more harmony and more affection, more love from an existing partnership. Can bring in clients. It can also bring in more kind of recognition and also a great time for like advertising and sales as it's connected to your 9th. But I feel like where this gets a little tricky is that although relationships will be front and center during this transit, there can be a sense of you being drawn to unconventional partnerships or exploring new dynamics within existing ones. There can be power struggles and you may feel like other people are smothering you, or they're kind of like bothering you, or they're pursuing you too much, or they're not giving you your space. And that's because Venus will oppose Pluto in your 1st house. So Pluto rules the 10th house of career and control and kind of reputation, and it's retrograde. So obviously as an Aquarius, you're going through a change right now. Maybe it's your status, maybe, it's your job. Maybe there's some changes going on in relationships and you're saying to people like, I know you love me, but I need some space. Leo can be about a romantic partner, a younger person, or even your child. So if this doesn't correlate with like a actual romantic relationship, it can be with one of these people. And I think the opposition of Pluto is you kind of like, like feeling like the intensity from another person, or maybe you're feeling like another person is being very needy. And it's important just to remember to communicate openly and honestly with your partner and to try to avoid any power struggles. Could it be that they're trying to get you to change? Maybe, but I think that there are planets in the 7th house where they may feel more daring, more affectionate, more kind of frisky, more lovable. There can be a sense of you, not being open to that because maybe you're like, I'm working through something right now and I need some space, and they may not understand that. So try to communicate as best as you can, and know that love can also come from further away, can come from a distance. And it can also be about where there can be some changes going on with your relatives or your family. Mars and Uranus are getting close. There can be like a ruckus within the home dynamic of some sort, and that's what's also causing some of the challenges within relationships because Venus rules family. So this could be female daughters, this could be female neighbors, female roommates. This could be an issue that you're having in a relationship because of something that's going on with a family member where there's been some turbulence. So it doesn't always have to be directly because of you. It can be because of other family members, okay? All right, let's take a look. And the card that you get is the Lovers. Okay, so it looks like this is going to be a positive transit for you guys because the Lovers does talk about like divine love, deep soul connection, choices, harmony, relationships, alignment, unity, balance, and romance. So it can bring somebody in, especially if you're single, like somebody who's like very fixated on you and they want to partner with you, and it can feel like opposites attract in a way. It can also be that somebody comes in and, they know that you're going through something. Maybe you are in the process of healing or, mending a broken heart, or, you're moving through some big changes in your life, and somebody comes in and they're like, it's okay. Like, they try to kind of be disarming in a way and say, it's okay. You can be vulnerable with me. You don't have to run away. I'm here for you. And they'll be there for you even in your mess. And so that can be really cool through the transit where you kind of realize that you can kind of let your guard down and you can be vulnerable with this other person. This can be therapists, this can be partners, this can be relationship with friends. So this can apply a multitude of different ways, but I think it's actually very positive for you guys, Aquarius. Good luck. Let me know what happens here. And we have Pisces and Pisces rising. You guys will be experiencing Venus's transit through the sign of Leo in your natal 6th house. Now, Venus traditionally rules the 8th house, which is a little bit more secretive, taboo. It can be about joint resources and kind of karmic entanglements. And the 3rd house of the mind, communications, travel, learning, and siblings. All right, so Venus in the 6th house, let's just get this out of the way. Not Venus's favorite place to be, all right? Because there is a sense when Venus goes through the 6th house that sometimes we notice the imperfections in relationships. We can be a little bit more critical. There can be a sense of needing to heal or fix something. It's great for pets. It's also great for organizing your schedule and making more time for beauty, for love, for dating. It can also be a wonderful transit for beautifying yourself and trying to find ways to better take care of your health as well. If you need to get gadgets fixed, cars fixed, decent transits for that. But I do feel like, Venus in the 6th can be a little challenging. Something to kind of think about is that sometimes when you have planets to go through your 6th house, there can be this feeling of like needing to rebalance something or kind of organize or clean something up. And 6th house is routine. And so I'm looking at Venus's opposition to Pluto in the 12th. And it may mean that you just feel like your schedule is a little chaotic. And I think it's all in the name of growth and transformation. This is about embracing changes that help you focus on self-care. This is also a really great time to reevaluate your work-life balance and make any necessary adjustments. But Venus's connection to the 8th house means that you're clearing out any unhealthy habits in relationships. And this could be romantic relationships, this could be work relationships. The opposition of Pluto does make me feel like that you're learning through chaos, that there is like a method to the madness, and like, you know, health issues, relationship issues, whatever is coming up, it's to kind of help teach you how to get things in order. So I see this as kind of like a cleaning house transit. I would say that it is beneficial to be making a little bit more time for creativity, a little bit more time for dating, for love. It's great for spending time with pets because, you know, wherever Venus is what we love. But it can also mean that it's causing some challenges for us, that, you know, our schedule, our coworkers, our animals are kind of creating some tension when it comes to our need to maybe travel, right? Because of the connection to the ninth house, or there's a need to make changes with our schedule because we're going to school, or we're going to be, you know, making some pretty big changes when it comes to traveling because of the connection of Venus. Something I kind of think about is how all this Leo is kind of coming into an inconjunct and a quincunx with your Saturn and your Neptune. So sixth house is very much about health. And if you have been not taking care of your health with Saturn in your first house, you know, you're going to see some of the effects of that. With also Neptune retrograde and some of the trines to Neptune, sometimes we have some health issues or scheduling issues or work issues come in, and like Venus can kind of come through this house, and it can be a woman who's an excellent you know, caretaker and to help you with, you know, kind of healing something, or it can be an excellent assistant or housekeeper that can come in to kind of help you kind of clear up the loose ends, or a new healthcare practitioner or healer that can come in. So just keep that in mind, that there will be support. Don't get too frustrated with things not being able to, I think, be remedied immediately. This is about kind of like patience in the process, and that through some of the healing or reorganizing in a physical space, it'll allow you to kind of move through things, you know, emotionally or psychologically, and have a pretty big energy shift. Okay. All right. So let's take a look. What card do we get for Pisces? We get the Sun card. Okay, great card, because obviously this house is also ruled by the Sun. So it's shining a light on this. Maybe it means that when the Sun's coming into this part of your chart, you're really going to start to see the full effects of this. But this is about positivity, happiness, joy, success, vitality, positive outcomes, confidence, sunshine, and truth. So if you've been feeling a little discouraged with health matters, and maybe you've been feeling discouraged with job matters, maybe there's been this feeling of being like, man, these issues aren't getting kind of cleared up, or when am I going to get help? I think the Sun card is basically saying that things are going to get worked out. I think you will see this, especially through the Mercury retrograde in August. And right now it's just being a little bit more caring and attentive to these matters, and yeah, taking care of business in that department. All right, guys. Well, I hope this is a wonderful transit for you. I look forward to hearing some of your guys' Venus-Pluto stories, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of them. Just for reference, go back and think about what happened when Mercury opposed Pluto, because there may be more of some of these things that are going to be happening. So just some food for thought. But what do you think? Leave me your comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Are you experiencing transit Venus in opposition to Pluto, or vice versa? Is Pluto opposing your natal Venus right now? Were you born with this aspect? I would love to hear. Give us some of your guys' tips and tricks and things that you've experienced. Once again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that way you can stay on the up and up with the videos throughout this next week. We are always here Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. And what else? We will be doing a live tarot this up and coming Friday. So watch for the post I'm going to put on the community tab if you guys would like to get a reading. As always, thank you guys so much for your comments. I can't always get back to everybody, but I do see them. So the comments and the thumbs up are really helpful for my channel. It helps the channel grow, and also it gets the algorithm out there into YouTube so other astro people can kind of see my content. I have a goal for hitting 50,000 subscribers before the end of this year, and you guys can help me make that possible by sharing my videos or subscribing. So I will catch you guys back here next time on Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see all of you very soon. Take care.